Imagine unwrapping a gift as a kid, eyes sparkling with excitement, only to realize this toy could take your eye out. Or worse. Believe it or not, some of the most dangerous inventions ever created weren't weapons of war or secret military gadgets, they were toys. Toys made for kids. From explosives disguised as playthings to dolls leaking toxic sludge, these were sold with bright packaging and happy jingles. But behind the fun was pure chaos. So buckle in, because this is going to be a wild ride through the top 10 most dangerous kids' toys ever made. You won't believe what parents actually bought for their children. Let's kick it off with the toy that shot darts into children's eyes. Sounds innocent, right? Kids love CSI, mystery, and playing detective. The CSI fingerprint kit came with everything a budding investigator needed: a fingerprint dusting brush, lift tape, and even white powder for collecting prints. Except that fingerprint dust was laced with asbestos. Yes, actual asbestos, the cancer-causing substance banned in most of the world. The worst part? The dust was designed to be brushed and floated into the air where kids could easily inhale it. Mesothelioma in a box. Hundreds of these kits were recalled after lab tests confirmed the horrifying truth. How this made it through production and onto store shelves still baffles everyone. But it happened, and thousands of children had already played with it by then. Now brace yourself for the mini guillotine toy that actually sliced fingers. If you thought guillotines were just for the French Revolution, think again. In the 1970s, some novelty toy manufacturers thought it'd be hilarious to make miniature working guillotines for kids. The blade was usually made from metal or sharp plastic, and the toy was advertised as a fun way to cut cigarettes or pencils. But guess what kids used it for? That's right, fingers. Several children ended up in emergency rooms with crushed or sliced fingers, and one tragic case in Europe reported a kid losing the tip of his finger entirely. What was the manufacturer's defense? It was intended as a novelty for adults. But that didn't stop it from showing up in kids' toy boxes around the world. Now say hello to the exploding rocket fuel kit from the 50s, the 1950s. The golden age of science and total disregard for safety. Meet the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab, a toy lab kit that came with actual radioactive materials. Real uranium ore samples. Yep. A toy that literally glowed with radiation. The kit included a Geiger counter, cloud chamber, and radioactive isotopes so kids could observe nuclear reactions at home. Sounds cool until you realize children were handling radioactive substances with their bare hands. And no, there weren't any real protective measures. The toy was pulled from shelves after parents realized little Johnny was carrying more radiation than a Cold War spy. The kit now holds a place in the National Museum of Nuclear Science, behind glass, where it belongs. Get ready because this one literally pierced skulls. Lawn darts, also known as jarts. Let's be real. Any toy involving the word dart and lawn in the same sentence probably isn't safe. But these weren't just regular darts. Jarts were 12-inch long metal-tipped missiles that kids would toss into the air, trying to land them in plastic rings. The problem? They often landed on heads, arms, legs, and sometimes even through people's feet. By the 1980s, there were over 6,000 injuries and multiple child deaths directly linked to jarts. The Consumer Product Safety Commission finally banned them in 1988 after years of public outrage. Still, to this day, some collectors sell them online, as long as you sign a waiver. This one's just pure nightmare fuel. The Cabbage Patch doll that ate hair and fingers. This one's straight from the uncanny valley. Cabbage Patch Kids were a massive hit in the 90s, but the Snacktime version had a terrifying twist: it could eat. The doll had motorized jaws designed to chew plastic French fries and other fake snacks. But it didn't stop at toys. The jaws didn't have an off switch. Once they started chewing, they didn't stop. Kids who put their fingers, or worse, their hair, too close found themselves trapped in a death grip. Parents had to literally rip the doll apart to free their children. One girl's hair was pulled from her scalp before her mom could save her. After hundreds of reports and a full-blown media scandal, Mattel pulled the dolls from shelves and offered refunds. But the damage was done. A chewing toy that couldn't be turned off? Who thought that was a good idea? You won't believe how this arts and crafts toy turned toxic aqua dots in 2007. Aqua dots seemed like the perfect arts and crafts toy. Kids would create colorful bead designs, spray them with water, and watch them fuse into solid shapes. But what no one knew was that the beads were coated in a chemical that, when ingested, converted into GHB, a potent date rape drug. Dozens of children who swallowed the beads fell into comas. 2 children in North America were hospitalized with respiratory failure. 1 nearly died. The manufacturer had outsourced production to a foreign facility, where the chemical substitution went unnoticed or ignored. Massive recalls followed, but not before parents were left wondering how a toy meant for toddlers became a chemical weapon in disguise. And now we're heating things up with a toy that literally let kids play with fire. The Gilbert glass-blowing kit, another wild creation by A.C. Gilbert. Yep, same guy as the Atomic Energy Lab, was a glass-blowing kit for kids. Sounds artistic and educational, right? Except this toy involved an alcohol-fueled flame torch and molten glass. The idea was for kids to melt glass tubes and shape them into ornaments. Except most kids didn't have the fine motor skills or safety instincts of a trained chemist. Burns, cuts, and shattered glass injuries were inevitable. One hospital reported a rise in hand lacerations and face burns directly linked to this kit. It was quietly discontinued, but you have to wonder what kind of board meeting approved a fire-blowing toy for children. This one's going airborne. Sky dancers. The blade faced fairies of doom. They looked innocent, colorful fairy dolls with wings. You'd pull a ripcord, and they'd spin into the air like magical butterflies. Except, they had razor-sharp plastic wings spinning at thousands of RPMs. The result? Dozens of injuries, including scratched corneas, broken teeth, and in one horrifying case, a doll flew directly into a child's eye and caused permanent vision loss. The company did eventually recall the toys after numerous lawsuits, but for years, kids launched these plastic buzz saws inside their homes. A toy that launched spinning blades indoors? What could possibly go wrong? We're getting into canon territory now. The Austin Magic Pistol. Now we're getting to the truly insane. The Austin Magic Pistol was marketed as a science meets fun toy in the 1940s and 50s. It shot ping-pong balls using a special fuel called calcium carbide. Here's how it worked. You'd load the pistol with the chemical, add water, and boom, a small explosion launched the ball with real fire and smoke. It was basically a handheld cannon for kids. If water ratios weren't perfect, the chemical reaction could backfire and explode in the child's hand. Reports of burns, injuries, and even mini fires started popping up. Eventually, the pistol was deemed too dangerous and quietly faded out of existence. But today, collectors still show off this terrifying toy online, and some even reignite the chemical reaction for science. And now the #1 most dangerous kids toy ever sold, the Battlestar Galactica missile-firing spaceship. It looks harmless enough. A spaceship from a hit TV show. But this toy caused so many injuries, and one confirmed death, it changed the entire toy industry. The Battlestar Galactica spaceship had spring-loaded plastic missiles that could be fired. Kids loved it. But there was one fatal flaw: the missiles were just the right size to block a child's airway. In 1978, a 4-year-old boy accidentally inhaled a missile while playing. He choked to death. The tragedy made headlines, and parents were furious. After a massive lawsuit and media coverage, toy companies began introducing the choke test cylinder used to this day to prevent small part hazards in toys. This toy's deadly flaw changed laws and lives forever. A reminder that even the most innocent-looking playthings can hide horrifying danger. And there you have it, the top 10 most dangerous toys ever made. It's wild to think how many of these were approved, marketed, and sold without a second thought. Toys that exploded, poisoned, sliced, and literally attacked kids in their homes. These weren't accidents. They were design failures. Profit prioritized over safety. And here's the kicker: some toys today? Still borderline insane. Sharp edges, lithium batteries, toxic plastics. The game hasn't changed much. Just the packaging. So next time you're in a toy aisle, remember, not all fun and games end in laughter. Some end in lawsuits, recalls, and hospital visits. If you found this video shocking, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what's the most dangerous toy you ever owned. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and whatever you do, don't pull the ripcord indoors.